What could be next when it comes to Onyx? The reason why I want to talk about this, even though nothing I say is financial advice, is because Onyx themselves literally very recently posted and they said what should be posted about next. That's literally, again, what they posted. Now, it's very ambiguous. It's very vague because how can I know what it is, right? I'm not even part of their team. How could I know? But at least at the same time, at least I guess they're planning for something, I suppose. Because usually when a project makes a post like this, typically they already have something lined up in terms of what they want to talk about. The reception, it could not be positive. It could be positive. We'll have to wait and see. But at least they're thinking about something. This is what I like about Onyx and projects out there that kind of have this sort of mindset where they do care about what could be next. They're still thinking about their next move and all this type of stuff. Some other projects out there, they're just treating it for fun. And it could be treated for fun. I mean, who knows? But at least this one doesn't really feel like it's being treated for fun, in my mind. I feel like some other projects out there, the vibe is, if it does okay, they're happy. If it doesn't, whatever, they kind of treat it like a part-time thing. And that could go both ways, right? When it comes to memes and all this, I guess sometimes it doesn't really matter. But for a more serious project, right? For one that is more utility driven, I think sometimes that kind of relaxed approach, it doesn't really work too well. I think in some cases it doesn't give off the right vibe, right? So when I take a look at something like this, I'm pretty happy to see, I guess, that they're still thinking about what could be next. Now, I guess it could be an update. Probably, maybe they could post about Goliath, right? Their layer 1 blockchain, which is still in testnet. But we already kind of know that. It is what it is. We already know about the Ethereum bridge. We already know that they're planning to do the mainnet in Q1 of this year. We already kind of know that. I guess it would still be okay to see some updates, but if it's something else, I'd like to hear it. I'd like to see it, I guess. But yeah, besides that point, though, XCN very recently had a slight pullback, even despite actually having a pretty okay recovery, right? But even still, despite that, now it's like down a couple percent, and now everyone's complaining again when it comes to Onyx. Personally, for me, I don't want to overreact to slight movements like that. I just don't think it's very sustainable, and I don't think it's very logical for me to kind of have that sort of mindset just constantly, because in this space, I am aware that these type of movements, it's not like other markets out there where it takes like months, years in some cases. So in this space, sometimes it feels a little bit more drastic, right? Where a certain movement can happen in a day, in just a couple hours, in a couple minutes. It's just very like random sometimes. I have no control over that. But if I didn't like those type of movements and all this, I just wouldn't even be in this space whatsoever. You know what I mean? Because if we take a look at Bitcoin, for instance, if let's say it has like a 10% movement, a 5% movement, in some other markets out there, that's considered already like very drastic, right? In some other markets out there, a movement like that could take years in some cases. But in this space, even like the largest project, we kind of see the fluctuations like that. And especially XCN, it's an altcoin. And it's not even that big of an altcoin either. It doesn't even have a market cap of like $1 billion. You know what I mean? Even projects out there that have a market cap that massive, we still see those random fluctuations like that. So I already kind of know that when it comes to XCN, in terms of the nature of what it could do, in terms of the movement, I won't know exactly, but I already kind of know the vibe that, it's an altcoin, doesn't have such big market cap. It's not even really like that well known. It's not top 10, it's not top 20, not top 50, So I already kind of know the vibe of a project that usually is of that size. But at least inherently, I think as a result of that, if a project just isn't that massive, typically the ceiling sometimes feels a little bit far in some cases. Some projects out there, they can't ever reach anywhere that close. But at least I saw, XCN not too long ago, the market cap was like around $1 billion. Granted, it was like around a year ago at this point, but I still think that it kind of showcased to me a little bit of a glimpse of XCN, because the fundamentals back then, let's face it, it just wasn't that good in my perspective, comparatively to right now. At the time, it was considered okay for what it was, but compared to right now, the fundamentals are nowhere as good as currently, I think. Not in terms of the market cap, but in terms of the fundamentals. Let's just think about it. Was there the testnet when it comes to its layer 1 blockchain back then? Was there any of these talks about Onyx AI Agent V2? You know what I mean? So the fundamentals, in my perspective, I'm a bigger fan of it right now when compared to before. And the thing is, before it already did that. So we're talking about a project that really had not much going on for it fundamentally comparatively to right now. And the market cap was around $1 billion without even an altcoin season just around a year ago. We're not even 50% in terms of market cap when compared to back then. You know what I mean? We're still way below 500 million in terms of market cap when it comes to XCN. But it still did that. And XCN already went through the phase of kind of proving itself a little bit, right? It already kind of went through the phase of sort of being a little bit more so known within the space of global trade and finance, because let's face it, for quite a while, the only recognizable projects was like, for instance, Stellar, XDC, and of course the number one project within this space. That was just pretty much about it. It was just like only 3 projects. But because XCN did that around a year ago, and even still, despite the pullback right now, it kind of put its sort of stamp within the space of global trade and finance. Like, hey, you know what? It's a project that sort of exists and kind of became recognizable, That's just kind of the thing that it accomplished not too long ago. Now, I don't think I've seen not quite season, but I'm just saying, when it comes to XCN, at least it did that. So I still haven't given up. I'm still staying patient. I'm just waiting because, quite frankly, that's the only thing I can do, right? I mean, I cannot do anything about this space. I can't do anything about XCN. Also, when I take a look at it as well, XCN, now it's around 27 times lower than 25 cents. So again, a slight pullback, but at least it's not like around 60 times lower, than 25 cents, which it kind of was actually at that range not too long ago. You know what I mean? But even at those moments, I didn't really kind of have this sort of great concern when it comes to Onyx because I was still a fan of the fundamentals, and I felt like anyways, if a project fundamentally improved and I'm still a fan of it, yet the market cap is lower and I'm able to dollar cost average at that lowered market cap, I'm not going to be complaining, I guess. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but as of right now, with the increase in market cap when it comes to XCN, despite the slight pullback recently, you know what? My plan doesn't change. I'm not going to do anything drastically new or different. I'm just still dollar cost averaging once a month. That's it. So I've been in XCN for over a year at this point, and yeah, that's what I've been doing so far. And I'm just going to wait and see. That's my perspective because it already kind of had that initial wave, right? XCN already had that moment to kind of shine a little bit not too long ago. It already kind of put itself, I guess it kind of inserted itself, right, in that sort of projects focused on global trade and finance and the ones that actually became a little bit recognized. It already kind of did that. Now, it's kind of like the next thing, who knows if there's going to be that next leg up, but I'm just waiting for an altcoin season, I suppose, hypothetically. I feel like Onyx, as of right now, is in that stage where it kind of, let's say, in a random make-believe scenario, right? Making it to the UFC or making it to the NFL. It kind of did that initial step. Could it become a champion? Could it win a Super Bowl? That's that next leg up. You know what I mean? I'll have to wait and see, but at least it already kind of made it into something like that, right? At least XCN, as of right now, to me, is number 4 in terms of a project within the space of global trade and finance within this space. So it's already kind of been able to do that. However, there's no altcoin season right now. So there's really no way for me to evaluate what it could hypothetically really be, But at least at the same time, I saw what it did not too long ago. Market cap was around $1 billion. And at a $9 billion market cap, which it would have actually considering current circulating supply at 25 cents, $1 billion is just around 9 times lower than that. So even with an altcoin season, and with the fundamentals, I think arguably not being as good as right now, it was just at one point around 9 times lower than a 9 billion market cap. So with around a 9 billion market cap in a hypothetical make-believe scenario of a altcoin season, would it necessarily surprise me? I don't know if it would. And I don't think it would, actually. I don't think it would just surprise me, I guess. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say as of right now when it comes to Onyx. They made this kind of ambiguous post, but I just wanted to talk about it because I'm a fan of Onyx, and I just thought it's pretty cool that they're even thinking about what could be next. I suppose, even though it's kind of trivial, it's not really that important. Some people like to tell me, but at least they're updating. I guess that's the way to take a look at it. And I want to say thank you for watching. It's been Lee the Captain, and I hope you all have a very nice day. I'm out. Peace. Bye.